Good afternoon, happy Savage Saturday. Keepers of the Cash, Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here. And this week, as promised, we have part 2 of The Spear and the Siren, the 2-part Brule the Spear Slayer story. Hopefully you tuned in last week and saw the first part, and if you did, hopefully you're turning in this week so you can see how it all concludes. But we're not going to waste a lot of time with it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show some pictures over here. We're going to have some fun. And both parts are in the Savage Sword Volume 1 from Dark Horse Comics, Robert E. Howard's Savage Sword. Alright, well, we're going to get into this. So we open up our page after part 1, and it's just him on the sea with his boat. And Brule is just talking to himself. And he says, "By nightfall we'll be in the Pictish Isles, feasting with my father's people. Before the moon dance, I'll have quite a story to tell of how I lost my best spear. And good thing is, it's a worthy story. The spear is my father's before mine." And he's just talking to a seagull. And he goes, "Don't look so skeptical, Albatross. Not a night and day ago, I saved a beautiful siren maiden from a sea creature, a beast of the old world like you could not imagine in a nightmare." He goes, "I doubt its like will ever be seen by man again." And then he sees something in the distance. He's like, "Valka!" And he exclaims. And I know I've been showing it, but you know how I do. So here we go. Here's the page to part 1. Over here, the part 2. Here was part 1 where he left off. So moving on with the story, right? The sea creature, this looks amazing. Comes up, it's towering over Brule's ship, and it doesn't look like there's any hope for him at all. The water's tossing him about, and Brule is grabbing onto a rope. He's got a sword ready. And he swears to the creature, "You will long remember Brule, serpent." And then he hears a language, the same language spoken by the siren he saved in the last issue. And all of a sudden she's there, and there's another person with her. He goes, "Valka, what is this? Another siren with a voice like sweet music. This time with a bodyguard, I see." And this siren speaks her native language, which he can't understand. He says, "I warn you, warrior, if it's battle you seek, you'll find me a very willing opponent." But she is presenting herself gently, and she's still talking to him. He goes, "What is this? He goes, "What is this you're creating, siren?" She's making something in front of her, and it's a bubble made from the water. And she's speaking to him, but he doesn't understand. He goes, "Well, it does not appear menacing." And she places it about Brule's head. He goes, "Oh no, you're expecting me to wear this thing? Call me a fool, but I suppose there are easier ways if you wish to drown me." And so there we have our 2 pages. Brule at first thinking he's in mortal peril. Then the siren that's there with her bodyguard presenting him with this air bubble made out of water for him. She places it around his head, and he's just being very trusting of her. And he's just going with his instinct. So continuing on the next page. It says, "Valka, I can breathe in these depths," he says, as the sea creature is taking him underneath. And the thing that he thought was a monster is just there to transport him. And they're going deeper, and she's speaking, and she's speaking, and we got just many panels of her talking to him and him not understanding. Beautiful colors. Like, the colors in this story are amazing. They add so much to it. Finally, we hear Brule. He goes, "No one but my savage brother Kull would believe such wonders exist beneath the sea." And this is as they're entering this little kingdom. He goes, "Or that there is air to breathe. The air is fresh here, like the plains of Hiawatha." And he's brought into this place where it's basically in a bubble, and he can breathe down there. The guards says something in their native language, and she's speaking to him still, and he's just looking on, not able to yet understand. But he is on a little mystery. He doesn't know what's going on. He is now way out of his element, way below sea, in an undersea kingdom. And all he's left is to operate on his trust. And again, what I was showing you, like, look at these colors. The colors in this story just pop. They add so much to it. Really makes it feel like you're someplace different. And as we turn the page, he is brought into this royal chamber. and there's a queen sitting there talking. She's all dressed up in this fine garb. And then one of them speaks his language. He says, the court of the great queen Ciliana recognizes the presence of a great hero in its midst. Brule the Spear Slayer, who did risk his own life so that our kidnapped queen might live. And Brule says, in all my days, you are the siren I saved? And he's looking at the queen all decked out. He goes, the Sea Kingdom honors him. All hail Brule, the guard says. And she's just looking at him, and they're all screaming, Brule, Brule, Brule. And he says, just barely above a whisper, he goes, and I thought you were just a poor wretch. And then he kneels to her, and she's speaking in her language, and the translator says, rise, Brule. And he's saying, you are even more beautiful than when we first met. And the translator says, the queen wishes to reward your bravery. You need not bend your knee here. And he says, your majesty, as he takes her hand. And the translator says, as you are the spear slayer, and your own weapon was destroyed in the saving of the queen, our smiths have crafted this replacement of the finest Nillis wood and narwhal horn. Its weight is true, its blade sharp, and its shaft unbreakable. And Brule's like, your majesty, I'm humbled. And everyone's still screaming, Brule, Brule, Brule. And the guard and the translator says, none has kneeled before Brule, let alone a queen. And Brule's saying as they kneel to him, he's uncomfortable with people kneeling to him, and he wants the queen to get up and her people. And he goes, I'm just a savage, Queen of the Sea, and not good with words, but I thank you. It is a fine weapon. And he thrusts it up for all to see. So you see him getting some rewards here for the kindness of freeing this queen, who he did not know was a queen. He just saw it was a creature in need, entrapped, and did what an honorable person would do, and he freed her. And his honor is coming back to be repaid. Then we get to our final page. You see the albatross again, and Brule's talking to him. He goes, you have eyes to see now, eh, albatross? Brule is a proper savage and speaks only the truth of his adventures. And in the back, you see one of the sirens waving to him as the creature and herself disappear below the sea. He goes, ha ha, off, you faithless air rat. And he jabs out at the albatross for fun, and it takes off running. And you see him holding the spear, and he says, now, not only do I have 2 stories to tell before the moon dance, I no longer have to tell them empty-handed. And thus our story ends. Just a great tale. We'll show you the last page too. So, even though I've been putting it up. So I like this tale a lot. One, because I think Brule the Spear Slayer is one of the better creations from Robert E. Howard that doesn't get enough credit. He is fantastic in the Cull stories. And he is just one of those characters, to me, that's iconic from Robert E. Howard. And whenever I'm reading him, I'm enjoying the read. And it was just good to see him get a highlight. And the creative team on this was written by David Lapham with art by Fabio Cobiaco and colors by Dan Jackson. And like I said, I probably wouldn't care for this art applied to something else. Here, I thought it was perfect, and the colors with it were amazing. The art and the colors really complemented each other in the story, and it's just a fun tale. Not everything has to be dire. Not everything has to be a fatal consequence at the end. And this is just a simple story of a hero doing a heroic act and getting a reward for it, which I found fun, refreshing, and I thought highlighted a character that doesn't get enough of the spotlight in the Robert E. Howard stories. And but overall, I'm going to give it all an A. Art, coloring, the whole thing. The lettering is great in this too. The lettering in other language, the lettering shouldn't be forgotten in this. The lettering is fantastic. It definitely feels like a foreign language that you've never heard on Earth being spoken before. It looks cool. It's just everything about it was fun. So an A+ story, just a simple story of a hero getting rewarded for heroic actions and not seeking a reward, just doing them because it was the right thing to do. But that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep it casual.